Well, do you ever get a gut feeling something is wrong, but you don't think too much of it, so you just ignore it?
Yeah, those internal red flags could be your body's way of giving you a warning, and our next guest has 5 telltale signs that something is wrong, and it's time to take action.
Yeah, Mary Lawless Lee is the author of the new book, Happily Gray, and she joins us now to talk about these uncomfortable moments in life that we certainly all have. Thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I know your book, congrats on the book. I know it just came out today. So what inspired you to write that?
Thank you. You know, I really wanted to share the other side of my story. A lot of my time and how people know me is involved with social media. And so this book really represents the non-highlight reel version of my life. And I think it's important that, you know, women share that, the other side of the story. I think we can't afford not to. So that we have that community of support when we need, and really just empowering and stepping into that vulnerability for each other. And so that's what the heart of this book really represents.
Yeah, so what was the process like of actually, putting pen to paper or, clacking keys and making this thing happen?
Yeah, it took about 1.5 years, and it was honestly really therapeutic. It was never a question of if I was going to write a book. I've loved to write since I was a little girl, and so this has been such a passion project for me for over a decade. And it was actually, really therapeutic to kind of step back into time and to reflect on a lot of growth and a lot of learning, and even more learning through this whole process.
So in your book, you talk about internal red flags. Talk about what they are, first of all, and how did you go about discovering yours?
Yes. Yeah, I think this is really important, to listen to our instinct, listen to our gut. We've heard that since we were a little kid, and it wasn't till I was 30 that I really gave this some time and some effort and some hard work that went into this. Some of those red flags are, when in my life, I realized screen time is up. I'm spending a lot more time on the computer and the phone, and that's connected back to something. Sleep is down. Sleep is a huge one. I'm not able to sleep because something's stirring in my mind, and I'm exhausted getting up, and I'm just avoiding that problem during the day. So that's probably the biggest one for me. I feel sick. I'm jumpy. Both, a lot of these are physical, and when we get in tune with our physicality of being really connected to how we're feeling, I think, we really can recognize a lot of these. And then another big one is the page is blank. I work in a creative field, and, I'll come to the table with nothing. And that's another key of knowing something's not right, something's wrong, and I need to deal with it.
All right, so the page is blank, I'm jumping, I'm all these things. What do I need to do then?
Yeah, so I take a step back. I mean, I get off my computer. I kind of reflect back, and for me, and it can look different for a lot of people. For me, that's journaling and writing. It's always been a place of meditation to find clarity, and to start feeling connected again. For some people, that's an individual in their life, that's running, that's exercising, whatever form of meditation in your life to get connected back to you again. And I think it's really important that we don't just bulldoze our way through, but we take a step back to reflect, to really address what is going on and why do we feel this way.
So you talk about social media, and I know that people know you from there, and you talk about in the book a difference between living a good life and an authentic life. Can you explain that? Because I know a lot of people look at somebody else and think that they've got it all, and that's not always the case.
That's the heart of this book, and that was one of the big inspirations behind writing this book. Is I thought I was living a good life. I was checking all the boxes. I did this. I was going through life in all the right steps. And what I realized in my early 30s is I had stopped growing. I had stopped evolving. I had stopped gaining perspective. And I think that's the true heartbreak of it all. And that's the biggest difference of living a good life versus an authentic life, is losing that curiosity and that inspiration to continue to evolve and grow. And it's a different type of living when you can tell the difference. And that's really the heart of this book.
Oh, it's fantastic. Mary, thank you so much for joining us today. And just at home, if you want to meet Mary or hear more about the book, you can join her at her book launch event tomorrow at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey. You can also order her book online at shophappilygray.com.
And congrats.